before you even think about skipping this story, hit that like button and subscribe. Because what you're about to hear, it ain't just another street story. It's what happens when the wrong people disrespect the wrong woman. The smell of burnt grease and coffee hung thick in the air. The kind of smell that clings to your clothes even after you leave. Neon lights buzzed above the counter, flickering off the chrome napkin holders and half-empty ketchup bottles. It was close to midnight, and the diner was half dead. Just truckers, a few locals, and Sophia behind the counter, working another long shift. She wore that tired kind of smile, the kind that hides exhaustion behind routine. Every night, I'd watch her come home with sore feet, whispering about the rude customers and the long hours, but still cooking for me, still asking how my day went like she didn't spend 12 hours serving people who barely looked at her. That night, though, something felt off. I wasn't there when it happened. I heard it later, secondhand, whispered with hesitation. But when I pieced it all together, I could see it, like I was sitting right there, watching it unfold through the fogged diner window. They walked in loud, 4 of them, college-aged, maybe 21, 22. Clean sneakers, expensive jackets, that cocky laughter that only comes from money and no sense of consequence. Out-of-towners, from up in the hills, slumming it down here for fun. You could smell the liquor on them, the cologne trying to cover it up. Sophia greeted them like she greeted everyone, polite, careful. "Evening, fellas. You'll want a booth or the counter." They laughed at her accent, at the way she said fellas. "Booth," one said, waving her off like she was a nuisance. She seated them, brought menus, poured water, the usual dance. They ignored her, too busy arguing about music, girls, whatever fake gang talk they picked up online. One of them, the one with the diamond chain and the slick back hair, leaned back and started staring at her. Not like a man admiring beauty, like he was studying something beneath him. She tried to avoid it. She always did. When she came back with their order pad, he smirked. "You from around here?" he asked. "Yes, sir," she said, because manners were armor. He grinned wider. "Don't call me sir. You make me sound old." His friends laughed. She smiled politely and jotted their orders. Cheeseburgers, fries, milkshakes. Simple stuff. The whole time, they whispered, snickered, watched her walk away. 10 minutes later, when she brought the tray, one of them accidentally bumped it with his elbow. A milkshake tipped, splashing over her apron, down her arm, onto the floor. They laughed like it was a prank. "It's fine," she said softly. "I'll clean it up." But it wasn't fine. The guy with the chain, he leaned forward, smirked. "You missed a spot," he said, pointing at her shirt. Then he picked up his glass of Coca-Cola and poured it slowly over the counter, down toward her hands. It splashed against her wrist, sticky and cold. The laughter grew louder. The manager, some fat guy named Tony, looked over, saw it, and turned away. He didn't want trouble. Not from the kind of boys who might have parents on city councils or police departments. Sophia froze. Not from fear, from disbelief. That kind of silence that happens when humiliation cuts deeper than words. She didn't cry. She didn't yell. She just turned, walked back toward the kitchen, and disappeared behind the swinging doors. I found out the next morning. Sophia didn't want to tell me. I had to pull it out of her. Her eyes were puffy, her voice trembling. "I don't want you to do anything," she said. "Please, promise me." I didn't promise. Not because I didn't love her. Because I did too much. And that kind of love, it makes you dangerous. You gotta understand something about me. I wasn't always this quiet, this clean. Before the marriage, before the 9-to-5 cover job, I had a name that made people whisper. I'd walk through gun smoke and blood to build peace. Left it all behind. Moved out of the game. Out of the life. But the life never really leaves you. It just waits. That morning, as she made coffee with trembling hands, I could feel something shifting inside me. That old pulse. The kind that only beats when revenge starts breathing in your ear. I went down to the diner later that day. Didn't make a scene. Didn't wear the anger on my face. I just walked in like any other customer, sat at the counter, and waited. Tony, the manager, noticed me right away. He used to know me back when my name still meant something in this city. He looked pale, nervous. Hey, he said, wiping his hands on a towel. "Didn't expect to see you here, man. Everything all right? Everything's fine." I said calmly. Sophia working today? He shook his head, called out, said she needed a day. I nodded slowly. Listen, Tony, I said. I heard about last night. His face went still. Man, I told him to stop. Did you? He hesitated. They were drunk. I didn't want no problems. You know how it is. Yeah, I knew exactly how it was. Cowards stay out of trouble until the trouble comes knocking. Who were they? I asked. He swallowed. Some kids from upstate. Drove in. Paid cash. Didn't give no names. Cameras? Didn't work. Been busted for weeks. Of course. Cameras never work when you need them. I slid a 50 across the counter. Call me if they come back, I said, scribbling my number on a napkin. He nodded, wiping sweat from his forehead. You're not gonna... I'm just making sure it doesn't happen again. That was a lie. I already knew what was going to happen. That night, I sat in our living room, lights off, just watching the reflection of the street lights ripple across the window. Sophia was asleep, curled up on the couch with a blanket. I could still smell that diner smell on her. The coffee, the oil, the sadness. I pulled the blanket higher over her shoulders and kissed her forehead. She deserved peace. She'd earned it. But peace doesn't come free. So I went to the closet and opened a box I hadn't touched in 3 years. Inside, a phone, a Glock, a folded red bandana, and an old number written on a slip of paper. The kind of number you call only when there's no other choice. I stared at it for a long time. Then I dialed. Yeah, a deep voice answered after 2 rings. I could hear music in the background, voices, traffic. It's me, I said. Silence. Then a low laugh. Well, I'll be damned. I thought you were dead. Not yet, I said. What's up, old man? I need a favor. You got it. What kind? Find 4 young punks. Drove in last night. Hit a diner on West Florence. One of them wears a diamond chain, probably from the hills. He paused. You want me to scare them or bury them? Just find them first, I said. I'll call you when I do. It didn't take long. By the next evening, I got a text. Mobile phone found your boys. Westwood Apartments. Unit 3B. You sure you want this? I stared at the message for a while. Outside, rain started tapping against the window, slow, steady. It felt like the city was holding its breath. Sophia was cooking dinner in the kitchen, humming softly, like nothing in the world was wrong. Like last night hadn't broken something deep inside her. Like I wasn't already halfway gone. When she looked up and smiled at me, I smiled back, but inside, I was already somewhere else. Standing in that apartment hallway, hearing their laughter, smelling that cheap liquor and arrogance. I drove out there after midnight. The rain had turned to mist by the time I pulled up. Westwood, the kind of new complex that tries to look classy but still smells like fresh paint and bad decisions. Lights glowed through the blinds of Unit 3B. Laughter, music, bass shaking the walls. I walked up slow, hood up, gloves on. Didn't knock. Just stood there for a second, listening. Yo, that waitress was tight, man. She was like dripping coke and still smiling. You wild, bro. Nah, I'm serious. She looked like she was about to cry. More laughter. Loud, careless. My hand tightened on the doorknob. That's when the door opened. One of them, the tall one with the buzz cut, stepped out, talking on his phone. He didn't even notice me until I spoke. You think that's funny? He froze, looked up, confused, maybe a little scared. Who the hell are you? I stepped forward, just enough for the light to catch my face. His eyes widened. Yo, I don't. I hit him once. A clean hook to the jaw. He went down hard, phone skidding across the hallway floor. The music inside stopped. Voices. Movement. 3 of them came out, eyes wide, realizing fast this wasn't some random neighbor. I didn't say a word. The silence said enough. They recognized something in me. Maybe the way I stood. The way I didn't flinch. Street animals can smell danger. Even rich ones. Hey man, chill, one of them said, hands up. We didn't mean nothing, all right? Just having fun. Fun, I said quietly. Yeah man, it was just a joke, all right? Nobody got hurt. I stepped closer. You sure about that? He swallowed hard. You know her? Better than you ever will. The room went still. For a second, nobody moved. Then the one with the chain, the ringleader, laughed nervously. Yo, this is crazy, man. You came all the way here for that waitress. He took a step closer. She's lucky we even talked to her. I moved before he finished the sentence. grabbed him by the collar, slammed him against the wall. His chain snapped. His friends yelled, backed up, one of them tripping over the couch. "Listen to me," I said, voice low. "You ever look at her again, talk about her again, breathe her name again, I'll make sure you never see daylight." He tried to speak, but my hand was already on his throat. The fear in his eyes wasn't enough. "Not yet. Say sorry," I said. He choked. I'm sorry." Louder. "I'm sorry." The echo bounced off the walls. The others stood frozen, pale. I let him go. He collapsed, coughing, eyes wide with disbelief. I picked up his broken chain and held it out. "Next time you wear gold," I said, "make sure you earned it." Then I walked out. Back in the car, I sat for a long time, breathing slow. The anger was still there, burning steady. But under it was something else. Emptiness. Because deep down, I knew it wasn't over. People like that don't learn from fear. They learn from loss. And something told me this was just the beginning. As I pulled onto the wet streets, my phone buzzed again. Unknown number. No text, no voice. Just a picture. 4 faces. Their faces. And a caption. "Mobile phone. You want me to finish it?" I didn't answer. Just stared at the screen, the rain blurring the world outside. Sophia's face flashed in my mind. Tired, gentle, still believing the world could be kind. And me? I wasn't sure what kind of man I was anymore. All I knew was this. The streets don't forgive humiliation. They answer it. The next morning started quiet. Too quiet. Sunlight leaked through the blinds, painting the floor in broken stripes. Sophia was humming again, frying eggs like nothing had changed. She looked at peace, or maybe she was trying to, but I could see it in her eyes. The kind of calm that only exists after a storm, when you're pretending the thunder's gone. I poured a cup of coffee, sat across from her. Neither of us spoke for a while. Then she said, soft as breath, "You didn't promise me." I froze mid-sip. "I know you love," she said, eyes fixed on the pan. "You didn't promise because you knew you'd break it." I didn't answer. Couldn't. She turned, met my eyes. "Tell me you didn't do anything." I set the cup down slowly. "They won't bother you again." She stared at me. No anger, just sadness. That's not what I asked. I wanted to tell her the truth, but the truth doesn't bring peace. It just shifts the weight. Humiliate. "I just talked to them," I said. They understood. Her eyes searched mine for a moment too long. Then she sighed. "I married a man who promised me the streets were behind him." "They are," I said quietly. "They just keep calling." She didn't say anything after that. Just plated the eggs and walked out of the kitchen, her silence sharper than any knife. Around noon, my phone buzzed again. Unknown number. No name. Just a text. "Mobile phone, they've been asking questions. Westwood boys looking for you. So much for peace." I stepped outside, letting the sun hit my face, trying to think. The air smelled like cut grass and gasoline. Suburban calm, hiding city rot. If they were asking questions, they weren't scared enough. Or they didn't know who they were dealing with. Either way, it meant something worse. Escalation. And escalation always means blood. By afternoon, I was sitting in a small auto shop behind Jefferson Avenue. The kind of place that didn't have a name, just a hand-painted sign that said tires plus alignments. It was a front, same as everything else around here. I used to run money through this place years back. Now, it was run by a man named Lalo. Short, heavy, always chewing gum, and never asking questions he didn't want the answers to. He looked up from under a hood when I walked in. "No way." He grinned, spitting his gum into a trash can. "You back from the dead?" "Something like that," I said. He wiped his hands on a rag. "Heard rumors you hung up the gloves." "I did. So what brings you back to my greasy little world?" "Information." He chuckled. "And it always?" I handed him a photo, the one from the text. 4 faces, laughing, careless. "Need names," I said. "And I need them fast." He whistled low. "You know how many of these rich boys been coming down here lately? Slumming, playing gangster? They think poverty's a vibe now. Just find them." He nodded, slid the photo into his pocket. "You still got people who owe you. I'll make a few calls." I leaned against the counter. "Do it quiet. Don't let it trace back." He gave me a look. "This about Sophia?" I didn't answer, but my silence said enough. "Damn," he muttered. "You really gonna start the fire again?" "Fire's already burning." I said. I'm just making sure it doesn't spread my way. By the time I got back home, Sophia was gone. A note sat on the table. Need some space. Don't call. Don't come looking. S. My chest tightened. She never left without saying where she was going. Never left me. I sank in a chair, staring at the note until the words blurred. That's when I heard the noise, a soft knock at the door. 2 men in suits. Not cops. Too polished. But their eyes, those were killers' eyes. The kind that had seen worse than they'd ever admit. Afternoon, one said smoothly. We're looking for Mr. Vance. Who's asking? I said, keeping my tone calm. He smiled without warmth. Friends of Mr. Marlowe. The name hit like a brick. Richard Marlowe, owner of half the hotels in the county. Old money, old power, and the father of one of those boys. Can we come in? The other one asked, already stepping forward. I didn't move. This about the diner? Let's not call it that, the first one said. Let's call it an unfortunate misunderstanding. Funny word for humiliation. He smiled again. Humiliation can be healed with an apology. Then maybe your boys should start with one. That smile faded. We're not here to argue, Mr. Vance. We're here to ensure stability. Stability? Meaning this doesn't go any further. My employer doesn't want noise. You understand. I took a step closer, lowering my voice. You tell your employer this. His son poured soda on my wife. If he wants stability, he should keep his kid away from mine. They exchanged a look. Then the first man said quietly, Careful, Mr. Vance. You may not run this city anymore. I smiled thinly. You'd be surprised who still answers my calls. They left without another word. That night, the silence in the house felt heavier. I poured whiskey, sat in the dark, thinking about what comes next. The thing about power, people forget it doesn't vanish. It just sleeps. And when it wakes, it remembers every name, every slight, every smell of disrespect. I picked up my phone and dialed Lalo again. You got something? Yeah, he said. Your boys? 3 of them are college brats, staying in Westwood. The 4th one, though, he's different. How different? He's Marlowe's kid. Richard Marlowe, the hotel guy. I exhaled slow. Figures. And get this, he's been bragging. Telling people he punked some waitress. Said her man came to his apartment. Roughed him up. Who's he telling? Some club promoter downtown. Word spreading. My grip tightened on the phone. Then it's only a matter of time before it reaches someone bigger. You gonna make a move? Not yet, I said. But I was lying again. 2 nights later, I went back out. Not to hurt anyone. Not yet. Just to see what kind of enemy I was up against. The club was called Velvet Room. High-end, glass walls, valet parking, girls in dresses that cost more than my rent used to. Inside, bass shook the floor, and the smell of money and perfume mixed in the air. I slipped in through the side, dressed clean, low-key. Nobody looked twice. People never do. Not when you blend into the noise. I spotted him quick. The chain gave him away. He was at a VIP table, surrounded by laughter, bottles, flashes from phones. Same smirk. Same careless confidence. He didn't look scared. He looked proud. That's when I realized fear wasn't enough. He needed a reminder. Something permanent. I waited. Watched him stumble to the restroom with 2 of his boys, still laughing, still drunk. When the door closed behind them, I followed. The music outside muffled the sound. One of them was at the urinal, the other fixing his hair. I locked the door behind me. They turned. Recognition flickered in their eyes. Oh shit. I grabbed the first one by the throat and slammed him into the mirror. Glass cracked. The other froze, hands half raised. Where's your leader? I asked. He's coming back. Good. The door swung open. The one with the chain stepped in, saw me, froze. His friends were silent, blood on their lips, eyes wide. Guess you didn't learn, I said. He backed up. You crazy, man. You know who my father is? Yeah, I said. That's the problem. He reached for his pocket, probably a phone. I moved faster, grabbed his wrist, twisted. The phone clattered to the floor. He grunted in pain. I pinned him against the wall. I told you to stay away. Look, man, I didn't mean. Stop talking. He shut up. I stared at him for a long second. My reflection split in the broken mirror behind his head. I saw both of us, the man I tried to become and the man I used to be. And for a moment, I didn't know which one I hated more. Then I leaned close, whispering in his ear. You think you can buy your way out of everything. But out here, money don't fix what pride breaks. He trembled, nodded. Please, man, tell your father I'm done talking. Next time he sends suits to my door, I'll send coffins to his. I let go. He collapsed onto the floor, clutching his wrist. No blood, no screaming, just fear. Sometimes that's worse. I turned, walked out through the side exit, heart pounding like gunfire. The night air hit me cold and clean. But before I reached the car, I saw them. Two black SUVs parked across the street. Tinted windows. No headlights. Waiting. They'd been watching me. I didn't look twice. Just kept walking, head down, until I reached my car and drove off slow, calm. But my mind was racing. This wasn't a street beef anymore. It was a message war. And I had just thrown the first match. I didn't make it far before the call came. Mobile phone, unknown number. I answered. Mr. Vance, a voice said, smooth, old, practiced. This is Richard Marlowe. I didn't say anything. My men tell me you visited my son again. In public, no less. That's unwise. Your son's lucky to be breathing, I said. I agree, he said coolly. But not everyone in this city will share your mercy. You threatening me? Threatening. He laughed softly. No, I'm warning you. You had your say. Let it go. Tell your boy to apologize to my wife in person. Impossible. Then we're not done. He sighed. You know what happens when two men who don't want to lose start a game like this? Yeah, I said. Everybody else does. The line went dead. When I got home that night, the front door was open. Just a crack. My stomach dropped. I stepped inside, slow. Everything looked normal. Couch, table, the note still on the counter. But there was something wrong with the air. A smell, cologne. Not mine. Not hers. Then I saw it. A single red rose on the dining table and a folded note beneath it. You wanted attention. Now you have it. RM. My hands trembled. I called Sophia's phone. Straight to voicemail. Again and again. Then I called Lalo. He picked up on the second ring. She's gone, I said. Gone how? Someone took her. Shit. You still got people near Westwood? Yeah. Tell them to find out who Marlowe's using for muscle. He's not doing this alone. You sure it's him? I'm sure. There was silence on the other end. Then, all right, brother. But you know what happens next? Yeah, I said quietly. Edo. By midnight, I was back in the box. The one I swore I'd never open again. The gun felt heavier this time. Not from weight, from memory. Every mark on that metal meant something. Every scratch, a story. Every story, a sin. I loaded it slow, deliberate. Checked the slide, the magazine, the safety. Then I put the old number back into my phone. The one that led to a man named Cashin. Cashin was the kind of ghost the city forgot. Ex-military. Worked contracts for whoever paid in silence. Once, he saved my life. Now, I needed him to help me take it back. He answered on the second ring. His voice was rough, gravel, and whiskey. Didn't think I'd hear from you again. They took my wife. A pause. Who? Richard Marlowe. Another pause. Where you want to meet? We met in an empty lot off Alameda. Rain again. The city always bleeds under rain. Cashin leaned against a black Charger, cigarette in hand. Same shaved head, same sharp eyes. You look like hell, he said. I feel worse. He nodded toward the gun tucked under my coat. You planning to use that? If I have to, you will. He flicked the cigarette away. All right, the next morning, the city felt different. Quieter. Heavy. Even the pigeons on the power lines seemed to keep their distance from a block. Sophia didn't go to work that day. She stayed home, silent, brewing coffee she never drank. I sat by the window, watching the street, replaying every second of last night. Every laugh, every drip of coke sliding down her face. I made a few calls. Not to my old crew. Not yet. Just to feel the temperature. Word travels fast in this city, and slower if you know how to listen. By noon, I knew their names. Jared, Blake, Tyler, Marcus. 4 college boys from uptown, living in those fake loft apartments near Riverside, a few blocks from the hotel. Their daddies owned construction companies and law firms. Silver spoon cowards who thought coming downtown made them real. They didn't know this side of the river breathes different. It remembers. That evening, Sophia was sitting on the couch, legs tucked in, watching the TV without seeing it. The news was covering a shooting in Eastlake. Not related, but the sound of sirens made her flinch. "You talked to the manager?" I asked. She shook her head. "They said the hotel's handling it internally." I could hear her voice breaking on the last word. "Handling it," I muttered. "You ain't some spilled drink on their carpet." She turned to me, eyes red but hard. "I don't want you to do anything stupid, Gabriel." She only used my full name when she was scared. "I won't," I said, and maybe I meant it in that moment. But my hands were already shaking, not from fear, from something older, something that used to keep me alive. That night, I went for a drive. Not to clear my head. I knew there was no clearing this. I just needed to feel the streets again. The hum of the engine, the glow of the liquor store signs, the smell of asphalt after the sprinklers. All of it hit like a memory I'd been trying to bury. I turned off on Juniper Avenue, the block I used to run. It hadn't changed much. Same busted hydrant, same old mural of Little Ray, who got gunned down when we were kids. A group of young cats were hanging out front of the old auto shop, smoking, talking loud. One of them spotted me. "Ayo, is that Gabe?" I slowed the car. They all froze up a little, not sure if they were seeing right. "Damn, OG back on the block," one of them said, smiling. I stepped out the car. "Oh, nah," I said, shaking my head. "Ain't no OGs left, just ghosts." They laughed nervously, but I could see it in their eyes, the respect. Or maybe the warning. Then I saw him, Manny. Same wide grin, gold tooth glinting in the streetlight. We used to run together. Back before I walked away. "Damn, Gabe," he said, hugging me. "Ain't seen you since my kid was born." "You good?" "I'm alive," I said. He nodded, reading between the lines. We stood there a minute, the night breathing between us. "You ain't come down here for nothing," he said finally. I looked at him. "Need a favor." We sat inside the auto shop, lights low. Manny still kept his backroom clean. Workbench, fridge full of beers, a couple tools that could fix cars or end arguments. He handed me a cold one. "What kind of favor?" "For names," I said, sliding my phone across the table. "They disrespected my wife last night." He looked at the photos, screenshots from social media, their smiling faces, the kind that never saw real fear. Manny's face went serious. "Say less. I don't want them dead," I said quickly. "Just reminded." He leaned back. "Reminded? Gabe, come on. You don't call me after all these years for a talk. You want this to mean something." I didn't answer right away. I was staring at the photo of Sophia on my phone, her face before the mess, that warmth that made everything else quiet. They threw coke on her, Manny, in front of people. She begged him to stop. The silence that followed was heavy, like smoke. He rubbed his jaw. "All right, I'll make some calls. But if we do this, we do it clean. You don't get your hands dirty. You stay out of sight." "I'm not hiding. You're protecting her," he said. "You do it your way. She gets pulled into it. You let me handle it." They just learned fear. I took a long breath. Just make sure they remember her name. The next 24 hours were slow. Painfully slow. Sophia was quieter than usual, still going through the motions. She didn't ask where I went. I didn't offer it. At night, I lay awake, listening to her breathing beside me. Every time she turned, I saw her face at that moment. Wet, shaking, humiliated. And something inside me kept whispering, "They have no idea who you are." By the third day, Manny called. "Got something for you." We met behind an old laundromat off Marlowe Street. He was leaning on his car, smoking. Two of them were at a bar last night, the one with the blue neon on Grove. They bragged about it, laughing about the Waitress incident. One of my boys was there. He flicked the cigarette. They think it's funny, so we gotta make him laugh different. I stared past him at the flicker of lights from the highway. "I want to be there." He shook his head. "Nah, you know the rules." "I'm not asking permission." He saw it in my face. I wasn't backing down. Finally, he sighed. "All right, but you keep your mouth shut. No talking, no touching. Just watch." That night, we pulled up behind the Grove bar around 11. The street was quiet except for the bass leaking from inside and a couple drunk voices. Manny's crew, two young guys, were waiting by the dumpster. I recognized that look in their eyes, adrenaline mixed with ritual. We waited until the two college boys stumbled out the back door, laughing, one of them lighting a cigarette. Manny nodded. The boys moved in, quick and clean. One grabbed the tall one by the collar, slammed him against the wall. The other yanked the phone out of the short one's hand. "Hey, what the F?" "Shut up," Manny said calmly, stepping forward. "You remember a woman named Sophia?" The tall one blinked. "Ooh, what are you talking about?" Manny's punch was fast. One hit to the gut, folding him like a chair. "She works at Riverside," he said quietly. "You dumped a drink on her." You laughed. The shorter one tried to talk but froze when he saw me step out of the shadows. I didn't say a word, just looked at him. Recognition flickered in his eyes. Maybe not of me, but of what I represented. Manny leaned close. "You see him?" They both nodded, trembling. "He's the reason you're still breathing." Then he took the phone he'd snatched, turned on the camera, and filmed both of them. "Say her name." "WH what?" "Say her name." "Sophia," they stammered. "Now apologize." They did, shaking, slurring, bleeding from the mouth. Manny sent the clip to my phone, then deleted it from theirs. "Next time you disrespect a woman in this city," he said, "remember this night." We left them there, curled up in the alley, too scared to move. The car ride back was quiet. Manny turned the music low. "You good?" he asked. I looked out the window. I thought it'd help, and it didn't. I shook my head. It's like I got what I wanted, but it didn't fix anything. "She's still hurting. I'm still angry." He nodded. "Yeah, that's the problem with revenge. Bro feels good till it don't." When I got home, Sophia was asleep. I sat on the edge of the bed, watching her breathe. The moonlight cut across her face. I opened my phone. The video was still there. Her name, trembling out of their mouths. For a second, I thought about showing her, letting her see justice. But then I realized that wasn't justice. It was just noise. I deleted the video. Then I lay down beside her and whispered, "It's over." But even as I said it, I knew it wasn't. The next morning, she woke early and made breakfast. The air felt lighter, like she was trying to move forward. But the streets don't move forward. They circle. At noon, I got a call from Manny. "Yo, you might want to turn on Channel 9. I did. Breaking news. 2 men found in an alley behind the Grove Bar, beaten badly. No arrests. Police investigating possible gang retaliation. I turned the volume down. Sophia came out of the kitchen, drying her hands. "What happened?" "Nothing," I said too fast. She frowned, sensing it. "Gabriel." Her voice was soft, but it cut through me like glass. "What did you do?" I looked at her, the woman who kept me human, and I couldn't lie. "They won't bother you again." She stared at me, stepping back. "Did you hurt them?" "I didn't touch them." "That's not what I asked." Silence. Just the sound of the fridge humming and my heart beating too loud. Her eyes filled with tears. "You promised me. You said you left that life behind." "I did." "Then why does it still follow us?" I had no answer. That night, she packed a small bag. "I need space," she said. "Sophia, I love you, Gabe, but every time something breaks, you fix it with fear." Then she left. The door closed softly, but it sounded like a gunshot. For days, I didn't leave the house. The streets went quiet again, like they were holding their breath. Manny dropped by once. "She'll come back," he said. "They always do." But I knew better. She wasn't running away from me. She was running from what I could become again. And maybe she was right. 1 week later, I was sitting at the diner, the same one she worked at, drinking coffee that tasted like regret. The new waitress smiled politely, didn't recognize me. Outside, the sun was setting over Riverside. The glass towers caught the light, bleeding gold. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. I answered. A quiet voice. "You don't know me, but you need to stop whatever you started." "Who's this?" Click. Call ended. I stared at the phone. The reflection of my face in the black screen looked like a man I thought I buried years ago. The past wasn't done with me, and someone out there wanted me to remember that. It started with silence. Not peace, silence. The kind that hums in your ears after something breaks. The kind that warns you you're being watched. Sophia had been gone for 8 days. 8 long, slow days where the house smelled like cold coffee and dust. I stopped sleeping, stopped checking my phone. Every sound outside made me flinch. A car, doors slamming, a dog barking, a motorcycle echoing down the block. But then one night, I heard something different. A slow roll of tires. Music low, too familiar to ignore. I stepped out onto the porch, hand instinctively brushing the inside of my jacket. Old habits. A black SUV idled across the street. Windows tinted, engine humming. It didn't move for a full minute. Then the back window slid down just enough for someone to flick a cigarette out. The butt hit the curb, still burning. Then the SUV drove off. That was the first warning. I called Manny the next morning. You seen anything weird lately? He laughed. Bro, I run an auto shop in South Central. Everything I see is weird. I'm serious, man. So am I. What's going on? Someone's watching the house. That shut him up. You think it's them kids? They couldn't tie their shoes without Google Maps. Then who? I didn't know, but something in my gut was twisting. It wasn't paranoia. It was instinct. Just keep your ears open, I said. And don't let anyone near Sophia's job if she goes back. You think she will? I don't know. That evening, I drove across town to see an old friend, Valdez. He used to be one of mine, but when I left the game, he started working as a consultant for some of the new blood. If something was moving in the streets, he'd know. He met me at an abandoned car wash on the east side. Same crooked smile, same heavy gold chain. You don't call unless it's serious, he said. It is. He leaned on a busted vending machine. Word is those kids you touched. One of their uncles used to bankroll a crew called the Marlowe Boys. I froze. Marlowe? The same name I'd heard years ago, back when I ran things. They weren't small time. They were the kind of money that moved behind the scenes, laundering cash through nightclubs and real estate. What's that got to do with me? Valdez smirked. You embarrassed his bloodline. Doesn't matter how small it was. People like that, they don't take embarrassment. They take revenge. By the time I got home, I knew it wasn't over. The Marlowes were old money, with new muscle. The kind that didn't send warnings twice. I poured a drink, sat by the window again. The city lights blinked like dying stars. Then I heard it, a faint click from outside. Not loud, not sharp, just deliberate. I turned off the lamp, moved slowly toward the kitchen where I kept the revolver. A shadow shifted by the back door. Glass cracked. Someone kicked it in. 3 figures in black rushed in. Masks, gloved hands, moving like they'd done this before. The first one swung a crowbar. I ducked, slammed into him, grabbed his wrist, and twisted. The bar clattered. The second one drew a knife, too close. I caught his arm, elbowed him in the throat, sent him stumbling. The third stayed by the door, gun drawn. On your knees, he barked. I froze, hands up. The kitchen light flickered, glinting off the barrel. Then he said something that made my blood turn cold. Compliments of Mr. Marlowe. The shot never came. Manny burst through the side window like a ghost, shotgun in hand. Get down. The blast echoed through the house. One man dropped instantly. The other 2 bolted, one limping, one dragging his partner. I dove behind the counter. The smell of gunpowder filled the air. When it was over, Manny looked at me, breathing hard. Guess I was right to swing by, he said. I stared at the blood pooling near the broken glass. This ain't over, I said quietly. We spent the next hour cleaning up, wiping prints, dragging the body out to the car. Manny wrapped him in a tarp. What are you going to do with him? I asked. Handle it, he said. You just lay low. I can't lay low. He looked at me, eyes cold. You can if you want to stay alive. I didn't answer. He sighed. Look, man, I love you like a brother, but you can't win this one. Marlowe's got cops, judges, and killers. You hit his people again, he'll come for blood. I lit a cigarette. He already did. Sophia called the next morning. Her voice trembled. I heard there was a shooting near our street. Are you okay? I'm humiliated. She was silent for a long time. I don't know what's happening anymore, Gabe. I'll fix it. Please don't. Just let it go. I wanted to. God, I wanted to. But I could still see the hole in our back door. The way she used to stand there, humming while she made coffee. They came to our house, I said quietly. That's not something you let go. She didn't respond. Then the line went dead. That night, I sat in the dark, staring at my old box, the one I swore I'd never open again. Inside, a 9mm, a burner phone, a black book full of names I thought I'd erased. I pulled the gun out. The weight felt like a confession. Then I dialed a number I hadn't used in 6 years. Joe Aboy Sanserth. It's Gabe. There was a pause. Damn. Thought you were dead. Not yet. What you need? A meeting. They met me in a warehouse by the docks. The air smelled like salt, oil, and secrets. 3 men, my old crew. The last of the Rivera set. We weren't family anymore, just ghosts who remembered how to move. I need information on Richard Marlowe, I said. One of them, Nate, snorted. You aiming high, old man. Then aim with me. They laughed, but there was something in my eyes that killed the sound quick. He's at a house near the bluff, Nate said finally. Private security, cameras, dogs. You ain't breaking in. I'm not breaking in, I said. I'm sending a message. Over the next 2 days, we planned. No guns, no explosions, just exposure. If I couldn't scare a man like Marlowe, I could humiliate him, the one thing people like him feared most. We found the weak link, his nephew, the same one who'd been there that night at the hotel, the one who hadn't been touched yet. Kid liked to party, liked to film everything. We followed him, caught him outside a club at 3 a.m., drunk, stumbling with 2 girls. He never saw us coming. We grabbed him, threw him in the back of the van, drove down by the docks. When he woke up, the first thing he saw was my face. Remember me? He tried to speak, but the duct tape muffled it. I don't want to hurt you, I said. But your uncle, he sent people to my house. My wife could have died. Tears filled his eyes. I didn't care if they were real or not. You tell him this. If he comes for me again, I'll bury his name where money can't dig it up. Then I handed him a photo, the same one from that night, the boys at the hotel laughing. You remember this? That's where this started. Your family started it. He nodded frantically. I leaned close. Now go end it. We dropped him off in front of a police station, still shaking. For 2 days, nothing. No calls, no cars, no shadows. Then on the 3rd night, I got a text. You want peace? Meet me where it began. The address, Riverside Grand Hotel. The lobby was quiet when I walked in. Late night. Same smell of bleach and money. Richard Marlowe was sitting at a corner table by the bar, suit crisp, drink untouched. He looked up and smiled like we were old business partners. Mr. Rivera, I was wondering when you'd stop hiding. I wasn't hiding, I said. You came to my house. He swirled his glass. You attacked my family. Your family attacked my wife. He chuckled. A misunderstanding. Young men do stupid things. She's still shaking in her sleep. His smile faded. You think I care about your wife? I stepped closer. You should. He leaned forward, voice dropping low. You forget what I am, Mr. Rivera. I don't lose. I don't forgive. And I don't get embarrassed. I stared at him, then set a small USB drive on the table. You already are. He frowned. What's that? Footage. From a night they attacked my wife. Every camera in this hotel. Every word, every face. And the part where you covered it up. He froze. I made copies, I said. You touch me or her again. The city sees everything. Every cop, every judge, every politician who's ever shaken your hand. For a long moment, the only sound was the soft clink of ice in his glass. Then he smiled again, slow and dangerous. You think this makes you safe? No, I said. It makes us even. I turned to leave. Mr. Rivera, he called after me. When the streets forget you, they still remember your sins. I didn't answer. I just walked out, the night air hitting me like freedom and fear mixed together. When I got home, Sophia was sitting on the porch. She looked up as I parked. I heard, she said softly, about the hotel, about Marlowe. He sat beside her. The streetlights buzzed overhead. I didn't want this, I said. I know. We sat there in silence. The city hummed around us, sirens in the distance, dogs barking, life still moving even after everything burned. Finally, she took my hand. You did what you thought was right, but promise me something. What? No more war. No more ghosts. I looked at her, the only person who ever made me believe in peace, and I nodded. But deep down, I knew the truth. People like me don't get peace. We get moments, and sometimes that's enough. Later that night, I stood by the window again, watching the streetlights blur into gold. Sophia was asleep upstairs. For the first time in weeks, the house was quiet. Then from somewhere far off, a car door slammed. I reached for the revolver, then stopped. Not tonight. The streets never sleep, but maybe I could for once. The smell of smoke still hangs in the air when dawn rolls over South Central. The street is eerily quiet, as if the city itself is holding its breath. A week ago, it was full of life. Cars blasting bass, kids running between hydrants, the usual chorus of barking dogs and distant sirens. Now, there's only silence, punctuated by the occasional hiss of wind pushing trash down the street. Inside the diner, the one with the old neon sign that still reads Mabel's Place, the walls are blackened but standing. The glass is shattered, the counter burned, and the booths are scarred with smoke. Mabel sits in the middle of it all, her hands wrapped around a chipped mug of cold coffee. She looks like a ghost of herself, older, smaller somehow. She hasn't spoken much since the fire. Across from her, Detective Harris flips through his notepad. He's the kind of cop who looks like he's seen too much and believes too little. His tie is loose, his eyes tired. "You sure you don't want to tell me where your husband is, Mrs. Carter?" he asks, gently, though his tone carries the weight of a man who's asked this too many times. Mabel doesn't answer. Her fingers trace the rim of the cup. She stares at the spot on the wall where the picture used to hang, the one of her, Derek, and a few old friends. The fire took it, like it took everything else. "I told you," she murmurs finally. "I don't know." Harris sighs. He closes his notebook, rubs his temples, and looks around the diner again. "You know what they're saying on the street?" Mabel doesn't look up. They're saying Derek went after those boys himself, that he burned their car on 84th, shot one, and disappeared. Her silence is answer enough. Harris stands, tucking the notepad into his coat. "I ain't gonna lie to you, Mrs. Carter. If that's true, he won't get far. The feds are on this now. Arson, murder, gang retaliation. The whole city's watching." When he leaves, the door jingles softly, and the sound echoes through the empty diner. Mabel sits there a long time, until the sun hits the window just right, lighting the ashes in the air. For a second, it looks almost beautiful, like dust dancing in gold light. Then she whispers, to no one in particular, "Come home, baby." Derek Carter sits in a half-collapsed warehouse near the river, his shirt torn, blood dried on his knuckles. His pistol lies beside him, empty. He hasn't slept in 2 days. The past week plays on loop in his mind. The laughter of those rich kids, the sound of Mabel's cry when they knocked over the tray, the way they tossed money on the floor like an insult. Then the fire, his home, his life's work gone. He didn't plan the revenge. It wasn't about planning. It was instinct, something buried deep, old as the streets themselves. He wanted to find them. And when he did, one of them pulled a gun. Now one's dead, 2 are missing, and Derek is hiding in the ruins of a city he once ruled. He checks his phone. No signal. He broke the SIM, tossed the rest in the river. But Mabel's number still flashes in his head, every digit memorized. He picks up the pistol again, weighs it in his palm. The metal is cold. He thinks of the past, of 1999, when he was young and full of rage, when the block respected his name. He built something then. He walked away from it when Mabel begged him to. But some ghosts don't let go easy. He hears a noise. Steps. He reaches for the gun. Too slow. "Relax, OG," says a voice from the shadows. "Ain't nobody here to finish you." Out steps Tino, a wiry man in his 30s, tattoos running up his neck. He used to run errands for Derek back in the day, before everything went quiet. "I heard you lit up them boys," Tino says, smirking. "Word is, you made one of him squeal before he dropped." Derek glares at him. "You talk too much." Tino chuckles. "I talk just enough. People out here still remember who you are, old man. You disappeared, but your name didn't. You need help, I can make things move." "I don't need soldiers," Derek says. Tino squints. "You think this about soldiers? You started a fire in rich folks' backyard, Derek. They won't stop. You think those kids are just kids? Nah, man. One of them was Judge Hayworth's nephew. City royalty. Now every badge in LA is hunting for you." Derek's jaw tightens. Tino lowers his voice. "They say Mabel talked to the cops." That gets a reaction. Derek's eyes snap up. "You lying." Tino shrugs. "I'm just telling you what they're saying. I could check if you want. I got people everywhere." Derek doesn't answer. He just looks past him, out the broken window where the river reflects the morning light. Finally, he says quietly, "Give me a car. I need to see her." Night falls fast. Mabel's at home, or what's left of it, the upstairs apartment above the diner. She managed to scrub the smoke off the walls, but the smell lingers. She's packing a small bag when she hears the knock. She freezes. 3 knocks. Slow. Familiar. When she opens the door, Derek stands there, exhausted, unshaven, wearing the same burned jacket. Her first instinct is relief. The second is terror. "Jesus, Derek," she whispers, pulling him in, locking the door. "What did you do?" He doesn't answer. He just stands there, looking at her like he's afraid she'll disappear. "They said you." "I did what I had to," he cuts in. His voice is rough. "They laughed at you, Mabel. They came into our place, disrespected you. Burn it down. You wanted me to walk away?" From that, tears fill her eyes. "You think this fixes anything? You think killing them brings back what we lost?" He doesn't reply. The silence stretches between them, thick, painful. Finally, she says, "The cops came today. They're looking for you. If you don't leave now." "I ain't running," he interrupts. "Not from this." Mabel steps closer, her voice trembling. "Then from what, Derek? From who you used to be. Because if you stay, they'll kill you or cage you. Either way, I'll lose you again." For a long moment, neither moves. Then Derek steps forward and takes her hand, rough fingers against soft skin. "You remember what I told you when I left the set?" he asks. "That I'd never bring the streets into our home again?" She nods, barely. "I broke that promise." Her breath catches. He presses something into her hand. A folded piece of paper, smudged with soot. "What's this?" "Address. Lock her by the bus station. Money. Enough to get you out. Start over. You always said you wanted to see the ocean, not from this side, but from somewhere clean. Go, Mabel. Don't wait for me." She looks down at the paper, then back up, eyes full of tears. "Don't do this to me again, Derek. Please." He leans in and kisses her forehead. "I already did." The night is heavy with rain as Derek walks toward the old car Tino left him. He slides behind the wheel, engine rumbling low. The streets blur by, neon lights reflecting off wet pavement. He's not sure where he's going. Part of him thinks of the bridge, the river. Another part still clings to something like hope, that maybe he can fix it somehow. But fate doesn't care for redemption. 2 black SUVs slide in behind him as he hits the freeway. Headlights glare. He glances in the rearview mirror. No doubt now. They're on him. He guns the engine, weaving through lanes, but they keep pace. Bullets shatter the back window. He swerves, tires screaming, heart pounding. For a brief second, he sees the city skyline ahead, bright, alive, indifferent. He takes the next exit hard, tires squealing, skidding into an industrial street lined with empty warehouses. The SUVs follow, engines roaring. Derek kills the headlights, cuts through a side alley, stops behind a pile of scrap metal. He breathes hard, listening. Then he sees them, shadows moving through the rain. He loads the last bullet into the pistol. 1. That's all he's got. He steps out into the open, rain soaking his clothes, lightning flashing overhead. "Come on," he shouts. "Come get me." The men fan out, cautious. Derek ducks behind a pillar, waits, then fires. 1 clean shot. A man drops. The others return fire, sparks flying off the concrete. Derek moves fast, using the dark to his advantage. He takes 1 down with a wrench, another with a blow to the throat. But he's outnumbered, outgunned. A shot catches him in the side. He stumbles, falling against a wall. Blood mixes with rain, pooling at his feet. He looks up at the sky, the same sky he used to stare at from his porch years ago when life was simple. When Mabel laughed and the world still made sense. He hears footsteps approaching. Tino's voice cuts through the storm. "Should have stayed gone, old man." Derek looks up, eyes burning. "You sold me out." Tino smirks, raising his gun. "Nothing personal. You made noise in the wrong neighborhood. Rich people got long arms." A gunshot echoes, but it's not Tino's. He drops, clutching his chest. Behind him, Mabel stands, trembling, holding a pistol. Rain drips from her hair. Her hands shake. "I told you not to come back," she whispers. Derek stares at her, surprise, pain, and love all at once. "You shouldn't have come," he says softly. She kneels beside him. "Neither should you." He smiles weakly. "Guess we both bad at listening." His hand finds hers. His breathing slows. "Mabel," he murmurs, voice fading. You still got that ocean dream? Tears stream down her cheeks. Yeah, then go see it. For me. His hand goes limp. The rain keeps falling. Epilogue. Weeks later, the city moves on. Another story on the news. Another file closed. But in a small coastal town 100 miles away, a woman sits by the water, wind pulling at her hair. The sun dips low, painting the ocean gold. Mabel Carter watches the waves roll in and whispers his name. Behind her, a folded newspaper sits on the bench. The headline reads, "Gang violence claims former kingpin. Wife missing." She smiles faintly, stands and walks toward the sea. The tide washes over her feet, cold and endless. And for the